Project-based learning, as Dave mentioned, has become, I think a lot of us in the States use this. And probably not all the time, but it is, we use it, I used to use it quite a bit. Project-based learning here in Taiwan, I've had to trim it down a little. And this was actually my first, 2 semesters ago was my first attempt to do it here with a co-teacher. We did it 2nd semester after we sort of became familiar with each other. And I must admit, she's the most adventurous of my co-teachers. And this was for performance arts. Basically, what is project-based learning? I think it's important to address the role of the teacher first, because this is the teacher as a guide for project-based learning. I am the master of knowledge, so to speak. I don't know everything, but I know more than the kids. And I act as a guide. I give them advice, direction, examples to lead them through. This was touch and go the first time I did it. We've done it a couple of times. But it's very difficult, very different from the mold here where it's very teacher-oriented. Here the kids have control of the project. I give them my standards and my expectations, what I want up front, what task do I want them to complete. For this one, it was for performance arts, we're going to make a music video. So they were very excited about that. I picked a few songs, and it was very difficult to find songs that were appropriate for school because I have junior high kids, and their English is, some of them it's really good, and some of them they're really trying, but they're struggling. So I had to find songs that I knew would be school appropriate and at different levels. So for each grade level, grade 7, 8, and 9, I picked songs that would work for low ability, medium ability, and high ability. And the kids could also submit other songs to me if they found the lyrics. So that was the project I told the kids about. We are going to create a music video. So that is, they're completing a task as a team or individual to show the understanding. I did mine as a team project to make it a little less intimidating, especially since it was a music video. You need more than one person for them to do this, to make them a little more comfortable doing it in English. The positives for this, for project-based learning, it increases student engagement. It's student-centered. Oh my God, we get to make a music video? We get to do this. Yes, and you get to plan it. I'm not planning it. You're not going to just copy a music video online, okay? You can look at a couple of different ones for ideas, but we're not going to copy the original video. That was, I told them, I said, that's an automatic fail. And a few of the kids were like, what? I said, no, 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 no. This is your video. The other positive, it allows for differentiation. Who knows what that is? I know Bryce does. A few of us, the Americans here, a few Americans know what it is. A few, differentiation. The next slide deals with that. But basically it's changing it up, changing the way you teach for the kids. It's not about you, it's about the kids. Making the learning more engaging for the kids in different ways. And also, the other positive here, the third one, is encouraging active problem solving for real world problems. Critical thinking. Okay, I have to make a music video. How are we going to do this? What equipment do we have? Not much. I have a CD player and a CD, kids, and a projector. What are we going to do? We have this task. How are we going to come and do this? So they have to figure out, how are we going to do this? I can't really sing. Well, neither can I. Oh boy. I can't dance. Well, I'm a good dancer. You know, I can, how are we going to show how to do this? Do we want to dance? Do we want to act? How do we take care of this problem? So they have to figure that out after they've figured out what a music video is and what they need to do. The negatives, and this is something my Taiwanese co-teacher was a little concerned about. It can be time consuming at first. The amount of work that the teacher has to do. You can't just come in and open up the book and go. You have to do some pre-planning for this. We sat down and created a rubric. What do we want to do? How are we going to grade these kids? How are we going to sit and go through this so that they understand what they're supposed to do? So it can be time consuming at first. We're lucky it was our performance arts class, not the regular English class, so we sort of had our own timetable. We could play with it for the semester, just to see how things went. And the other problem is it requires, like I said, a great deal of pre-planning. Okay, you can go on the next slide. This is differentiated instruction, what I sort of touched on. I will not go into this in great detail, but basically, like I said, just the flow chart. This is in response, what do I do for the kids? What do I do to meet their needs? Guided by different principles. These things, this is a respectful task. I will never ask them to do things they are uncomfortable doing. It's respectful. I'm not asking you to go out and do something that's going to cause them to lose face. Okay, let's see what can we do that's going to work. Flexible grouping. There are different groups for different things. There's their home-based group, and then there's a group of kids that they work with to figure other things out. Their home-based group is their group of kids that they're going to make the music video with. Their pod group, or however you want to do it, is another person they feel comfortable with, whose English ability is higher or lower, or however they feel comfortable with, that they can talk things over with. Some problem solving, troubleshooting people for them to go to. It can change. So flexible grouping, change your grouping. And you have ongoing assessment and adjustment. So it's not just one test and you're done. This is a process. The different ways you can differentiate, I chose this picture in particular because it talks about process. This is changing the process of how they learn. Okay, the content is a little different. Each student was allowed to pick, well not each student, but each group was allowed to pick a different song. That's differentiating content. But the product was going to be the same. Everyone was making a music video. How they got to that, readiness. Which song are they ready for? They picked. I would guide them to which one I thought was best, but in the end, if they wanted to try a song a little above their ability level, I'd let them go for it a couple of times. Try it. Try it for a period. If you can't do it, you can change. That's okay. Just do it early. Their interest or their learning profile. So there's just different ways you can differentiate. I'm not going to spend more time on that. It's a whole nother ball of wax that I am just beginning, I think most of us, to sort of understand well. Not a master yet, okay? The key to project-based learning is team building. This goes back to creating the atmosphere Antonio was talking about. You need to create a positive atmosphere for this to work. No one can work on a team where they do not feel comfortable and do not feel that their opinion is valued. So my classroom rules, which I established at the beginning of the year, that are up there in English and Chinese, and the kids had to learn how to say them. They're numbered 1 through 4. They know. These are Mandy's rules. Rule 1, be kind. Rule 2, be responsible, be respectful, be productive. So they know. Okay, so this is our the no negatives at the door. You know, leave the negative stuff outside. They know if I hear it or if my co-teacher hears it in Chinese, Taiwanese, or any other language that they understand, that they'll put a crash on it. They get a warning, etc. Students also, for team building to work, they should be able to make some group rules. What do I do if Johnny doesn't want to participate? He's just sitting there being a lump on the log. Won't do anything. just not contributing to the group at all. So the kids have to sit and talk about what are some consequences of someone's not doing what they're supposed to be doing, not being a part of the team, not working with us, not working together, and how do we reward each other when we've met a goal, when we do something awesome. Sometimes you can let the kids pick and do that if you have older kids. Younger kids, the teacher can create those herself, himself, and post them. These are just some ideas that my kids came up with. For me, when we have a meeting a short-term goal, like, okay, for this one we did really well. Okay, kids, what's your treat? I have haichu in my classroom. The whole group gets like a piece of haichu at the end of the period if they did something great. Just a little tiny mini celebration for them. And this all, the classroom rules, the group rules, that helps to create a learning community. You need a positive community, something that creates that self-esteem. Okay, next slide. Okay, for project-based learning to also work, student choice. And a little bit of it, as much as we possibly can. I know that most of us, especially elementary level, you're stuck with the content you're stuck with. We have no choice over that as teachers. But for the kids, you can allow them for project-based learning. Okay, so here's the content. We can't change that. But I can change the process. How are we going to learn this for the product? How are you going to show me what you've learned? Allow them to pick, allow the students to learn more about what they like. It's a student choice. They can change the topic. Still has to do the content, but they can change the topic a little bit. For ours, we did the music video. Following semester, we did a little reader's theater, or whatever. Let them pick. That's part of project-based learning. Or, if we can't change any of that, we're stuck with what we're stuck with. This semester, we must do reader's theater, and we must do this reader's theater. Let them have some choice in groups. Obviously, that gives them some sort of ownership in this. Students in groups, it requires them to learn social skills, build confidence, and discuss solutions. They need to be able to do that with their team. The information that they have to be able to process their information in their group with people they're comfortable with before they come to me and ask or to check. That's the other part of project-based learning. You need to be able to process the information so you feel confident before you have to come up to Mandy, who only speaks English, and ask her. So I've watched them do it a couple of times, and my co-teacher's really great about encouraging them to teach each other first, and then she'll kind of come over and be like, okay, make this little correction, and then they'll come up, Mandy, teacher, blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, English, they try their best. We try to encourage that. So process it before you come to the teacher. And then just before we talked about like a home team, 4 to 5 students, and then pod partners. So they can pick, if you can't let them have choice in the home team for whatever reason, like I know we all have those classes where we know I can't put these 5 kids together because they'll kill each other, or because they'll just sit there and talk the whole time. So I know we're stuck with that. But you may be a pod partner. Let them have that pod partner. Let them pick. Who are they going to talk to for 2 minutes or 5 minutes for this group work? Okay, next. The other important part of project-based learning is team planning. I used to skip this a lot when I first started doing projects, because I would do it. This is what you're supposed to do, just go do it, as a new teacher. But the kids get more out of it if they plan it, at least some of it. So I, as the teacher, front load all the vocabulary and concepts for the students to investigate, whether it's homework or classwork. So I give that to them. They get that information up front, they get the rubric up front, they get vocabulary, all that stuff that they need to complete the project successfully up front. Like I said, I give them a rubric. I think that's in your handout. I have an example of a rubric. I won't spend a lot of time on that. And before the beginning of a project, students investigate examples of a finished project. There's a video analysis, I think, handout in there, what we like, what we don't like. And the kids will just say, I'll say, okay, what is a music video? And we sometimes do a combo of English and Chinese, and they have to tell me, what is a music video? What do you need? What do you like about this one? What do you not like about this one? And we do that. They see it. And a lot of times I try to search YouTube for videos created by other sources, like other high school students, usually US, but I found a few that are from Taiwan. Then, what is it? And then each team member is asked to discuss in their team or with their pod partner what they like, what they don't like. Come up with 3. And we talk about it as a class. Next. Sometimes, especially with lower level students, I will let them use, while they're writing their plan, or while we're still figuring things out, a combination of Chinese and English, because they are doing some critical thinking here. That's a higher level skill, and they're still learning the language. So if they don't know the word in Chinese, or they don't know the word in English, I let them write the word down in Chinese, just for the planning phase, so I get a general idea of what's going on. They need to write down, what do we need to do as a team to complete this project? How do we do it? Not just, how are we going to do this? I don't know. Who is responsible for each part? They have to write that out. And then allow students to assign work to each other. And we monitor it. And it gives them an idea of sink or swim together. Who gets what part after they come up with their plan? Who is doing this part of the plan? Who's responsible for this? Okay, next part. This is more on the positive interdependence. There are group roles. I think these are just who collects certain materials, etc. Individual responsibilities, and I make sure that they know each person must do something. You do not sit there like a lump on the log, okay? Even if your English isn't great, try. Do something. What can you contribute to the group? Are you a great artist? Can you do that? Can you do some sort of artwork that's English related to this? Contribute to the group somehow. And then problem solving. That's another part of this. We need everyone to help solve this problem. Give your ideas, give your input. And social skills. I do mix the boys with the girls, even at the junior high level. Sometimes they hate me, sometimes they don't. But they have to learn, because in the real world, guess what? You will have to deal with the opposite sex in your group. And you can't just avoid her or him. Okay, you have to learn how to deal with that. How do I talk to a girl if I have a problem? Oh my God, you should see my 8th grade boys. They have no idea what to do. And it's the funniest thing. But they have to figure out how to deal with that. Might as well do it now before you're in the real world. Next. Peer evaluation. This is a part I see left out a lot in places. I use this as like and I think this paper is not in yours. This is a dress rehearsal for my kids. For the music video, we did a dress rehearsal. This was their mini quiz. We set everything up, we do a little dry run, I make a video, and we just go up to the point where they're done, and we do peer evaluation in front of the entire class. Not the entire school, the entire class. Because the eventual product will be played at lunchtime for the whole school. So I let the kids help each other. I said, how can we make this better? What do you like about this? What do you not like? How can you change it? At first, they just like to say, oh, just practice more. Okay, what to practice? How to practice? Don't just say practice more, be louder. How? And that takes some time. The how part, because that is the difficult part. And you may at first have to supply a few ideas until they get more comfortable with voicing their opinion. And I usually model at the very beginning, just so they have an idea. Because if they don't have an idea, they'll just stare at you blankly. And then after each dress rehearsal, and we've done the peer evaluation, they've gotten their feedback, then they go back and they make changes. And this is where, you know, my co-teacher and I, we come in and we help the kids. And we say, okay, this was a problem. How are we going to change it? How are you fixing it? Let's practice that fix. You know, at least 3 areas that you want to change. And then after that, change the next one, the team presents the improved project. So they've gone through this whole system. They've done the plan, they've done the working, now they have their improved project. And they get to publish it or share it. Usually it goes on, they know that it goes on Mandy's Facebook and the school's website. Do we have time? And I know that Allison hates this song, but would you like to watch a video? The kids choreographed their entire music video themselves. Do you guys want to watch it? It's Call Me Maybe. I know it's a tried and dead song.
No, oh, seriously. I love it.
The kids, the girls for this one, it's not a mixed team, but the girls for this one did the whole thing themselves, choreography, and you can kind of hear them sing. The girls did a good job, and honestly, a few of the are members of the dance team. Some disclosure. Okay, that's it. Any questions? Okay.